All right, so before you even start freaking out about, oh my gosh, I'm getting 500 views, I'm getting 300 views, 200, why aren't people watching my video? You need to understand that is that actually a good thing or is that actually a bad thing? Because I guarantee you, it can actually be a good thing if you look at the metrics. All right, so we'll get into that right now. All right, so the point that I need to make here before we start getting into those things, those tiny little things, the details and everything that we need to probably switch up and change a little bit so that you can start getting more views on your videos is we need to understand the value of those views. And what do I mean by the value of those views? Well, there's things such as the view to contact ratio, or is how many people are watching that video that are viewing it and actually contacting you from it. You're actually getting something from it. You got to remember that the point of your videos is to actually get business from it. You know, you shouldn't be trying to get famous for nothing, right? You shouldn't be trying to, chase after followers and likes, because those aren't the things that actually pay you and grow your business. Sure, they grow your, popularity around your city, but that's not going to pay the bills, as we know. So understand that the actual viewers are more important than the views itself. A video with 500 views that has a low watch time, low interest, low view to contact ratio, all those important metrics that we actually need to be looking at. A video like that compared to a video with 500 views that has all of those things aiming in the right direction is way different. Those are two different things, right? And so instead of focusing on the views itself, you need to focus on what you're actually getting from it. You need to focus on the audience, those metrics. How long are they watching? Right? Are they interested in this type of content? Your interest metrics are way more important than your, analytical metrics here. So if your videos are consistently hitting that niche group of people, that audience that you're actually trying to target, then of course your video might end up with lower views than the rest of your videos that aren't necessarily targeting towards a specific audience. But that does not necessarily mean that it's a bad video because the views said it was, because that's not true. Okay. What we're focused on is how much business are we actually getting from these videos. There has been multiple occasions, this is actually more common than not, where an agent will post a video and it gets 1 million views, but guess what? They get absolutely nothing from it. Nothing. Like, what was the point of actually hitting 1 million views if you're going to get nothing from it? I don't see any point of doing that unless you just like chasing those dopamine hits and those numbers look satisfying to you. And sure, that's fine. But if you're actually going to get nothing from your video other than that, then I just don't see the point. Understand the value of those views and what you're actually getting from it, because I guarantee a video with, let's say, 50 views, 50 small views, that seems minimal. That seems literally like nobody watched, right? But if that video actually hit some of your target audience and it actually gave them what they want to see and told them what they want to hear, guess what? They will reach out because you did your job correctly. All right, with that being said, let's say you are one of the ones who fall in the category of, I am making lower view videos, but I'm actually hitting my target audience here and there. And let's just say you aren't hitting anything, like your videos just absolutely suck. And you know that's the problem. Okay, so let's fix that, right? At that point, you need to really focus on a couple things. The obvious thing, which is not so obvious to most people, and I'm about to break it down for you, is you obviously need to focus on your first 3 seconds. That's your hook. Now, before I actually break that down a little bit more, you need to understand also, more importantly, viewer psychology. What goes on in the viewer's mind as they're scrolling their feeds? If a video does not get their attention in the first 3 seconds, I promise you they're scrolling. Once you realize that most videos on the internet, you'll usually have a, let's say, 0.3, 0.4 second watch time amongst most of your viewers, let's say 60, 70% of your viewers. That very tiny percentage, they didn't even make it past 1 second because they scroll so fast. So if you can't literally hook them in the first, I won't even say 3 seconds for this, you got to hook them in the first 0.5 seconds just for most of those people who come across that video to watch. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen because it's just not, but at least aiming for it will give you a much greater chance of getting the right people to see it and getting the algorithm to continue pushing that video out because they see, oh, they made it past the first 2 seconds, right? The point is you have to be kind of fast when it comes to these things because people like to scroll. Now let's get into the hooks themselves. I'm not going to give you a hook to say because it's just, no, not doing it. But you need to focus on 3 categories of hooks, right? That's going to be your visual, your audio, and your written hooks. Your visual hook is what they will see as soon as they scroll. What will they see that will make them go, oh, maybe I want to watch this past 1 second. Your audio is going to be what they hear, okay? If they don't necessarily relate to whatever you're talking about in the first 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, then they're just going to keep on scrolling because obviously the idea, the ideation is not necessarily for them at that specific time. So whatever comes out of your mouth in those first 1, 2, 3 seconds is going to be a very important factor in which they continue watching or they stop. Now, your written hook is going to be those words on the screen, right? You scroll and you see words on the screen, you read them. And obviously while you're reading them, they may be saying something, they may be showing something, but your eyes are focused on reading. Again, ideation. If the text on the video is not necessarily relating to them or what they even want to watch or see, then they're going to continue to scroll. Now, when you start to break it down like that in those three categories, and you understand that you can hit all three of those hooks in one video, then things get interesting. What most people would do once they realize that this is actual information is they'll take one of those types of hooks, let's say the visual hook, but they'll disregard the written and audio hook. Now, yes, you hooked your viewers visually, but what else is there to it? What if they did not like what you're talking about? What if they did not like what was, the words on the screen? Like, what about the other ones? And at that point, if you don't hit all three, then you have to really rely on having a killer hook with one of those. But why do that when you can just increase your chances of them watching by doing all three? You can literally hit all three hooks in one video. Subconsciously, they don't even realize that they really tend to gravitate towards one of those types of hooks. But let's say that is the case, which it usually is. When you hit all three types of hooks, you have no choice but to hit all three types of people who gravitate towards all three of those types of hooks. Not only did you appease to the people who like visual hooks, but you also appease to the people who like the audio hooks, who like the written hooks, who are hooked in that way. Your chances literally skyrocket at that point. So what I say to that is hit all three hooks. Hit them all. Now, within those hooks, I'm getting even deeper, right? Like I'm unlocking a new layer here. All right. Within those hooks, you're going to have three things, right? It always usually comes down to, when speaking about your audience, it's usually going to come down to curiosity, relevance, and emotion. Curiosity. Are you leaving a gap for them to think, what else is in this video? What do I need to watch? What should I expect? It's the topic of your video, is what you're showing, is what you're talking about. Is that interesting enough to spark any curiosity within your audience's brain and go, hey, I kind of want to watch the rest of this to see where it goes. If it's not that, it's going to be relevance. Is this video even relevant to your audience? If they don't find that this topic or video relates to them in any sort of way, then they'll just keep on scrolling because it has nothing to do with them in their mind. Now, in terms of real estate content, what is the best way to hit that relevance? Well, you actually got to call them out where they are. If you're an agent in San Francisco, California, what are you going to do? You're going to call them out. Hey, San Francisco. Once you start to do that, there is an immediate reaction to, this is relevant to me. They get the fact that they live there and you just called out their city. So of course, they're going to want to listen to what you have to say, at least for a little bit. And again, that's just with audio only. You can literally say it, you can show it, you can write it on the screen, as long as they know it's relevant to them, because that is what is connecting your audience and whatever you're talking about, which is the city at that point. You have a much greater chance of not only getting your video seen by them, but them actually watching to see what you're talking about or see what you're showing. And the last one is going to be emotion. What emotions are you grabbing out of them? Whether that be happy, sad, confused, angry, scared. What exactly are you doing in those first 3 seconds that spark some type of emotion? So if your videos are trash, you're getting low watch time, low views, all that, maybe it just is your first 3 seconds that you need to change, because if they don't watch past that, they don't watch anything. Now, obviously, that's just a small chunk of the equation. There is a little bit more to it. If you are wanting to dive just a little bit deeper into this topic, I will watch this video, pop it up on your screen right now. Your hook is definitely important, but you have to understand that what happens after your hook is just as important, if not more important at that point. Hope y'all enjoyed though. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. I'm dropping banger after banger after banger, and I would absolutely hate for you to miss any of that. If your goal is to turn social media into your #1 lead generation source, the most chill way possible. I will see y'all in the next one. Take care.